Good morning, students. Today we are going to see about the geography lesson, atmosphere. Already you have learnt about the three different layers, that is lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. So today we are going to focus on the topic atmosphere. Now human beings take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Okay, now how does rain occur? During the daytime, the land gets heated and the air, hot air rises up to the atmosphere. There it gets precipitated and forms as rain clouds and we get rains. When we get rains, plants and trees grow. So plants take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. So human beings take in oxygen, give out carbon dioxide, whereas plants take in carbon dioxide and gives out oxygen. So air gets purified by the plants and trees, and human beings also get oxygen. Air is a very important component in the atmosphere. It is invisible, but lot of activities go there in the layers of the atmosphere. Now imagine a football covered by a plastic cover. So the ball represents the earth and the plastic cover that surrounds the earth is the atmosphere. And atmosphere, we have different layers in the atmosphere. And these layers of atmosphere are held in position by the gravitational force. Earth is a unique planet. Only on the earth we have gravitational force that holds everything or attracts everything towards it. So in this lesson we are going to focus on the topic composition and structure of atmosphere to differentiate weather and climate. Then we are going to see about the factors influencing weather and climate. Then classification of clouds, winds and rainfall. Now what is the composition of atmosphere? Now atmosphere is a mixture of gases. So we have nitrogen 78% and oxygen 21%. So nearly 99% is oxygen and nitrogen. The remaining 1% we have carbon dioxide, argon, ozone, methane, helium and water vapor. Water vapor is the most important component of the atmosphere, which is responsible for weather prediction. Oxygen was discovered by Joseph Priestley in the year 1774 and nitrogen was discovered by Rutherford in the year 1772. And both nitrogen and oxygen are the permanent gases that are found in the atmosphere. Now we have another important gas present in the atmosphere, that is ozone. It is very helpful to prevent the harmful UV radiation coming from the sun. All the harmful UV radiation radiates from the sun towards the earth, and this prevents the UV radiation from entering the earth. So this atmosphere is like a blanket for the earth. It covers the earth, protects the earth from all that radiation that is coming out from the sun. The solid particles in the atmosphere acts as nuclei, precipitation occurs, and because of that only we get rains. Now what is the structure of the atmosphere? The atmosphere is very thick near the earth's surface, and as it goes higher up it becomes very thin and merges into the space. So it is thick here, and as it goes higher up it becomes thin, and finally it merges with the space. And we have different some 5 layers of the atmosphere. So we are going to see them one by one. The first one is troposphere. Troposphere is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. Tropos in Greek means turn, and this layer extends up to 8 kilometers in the poles and 18 kilometers at the equator. So it is very concentrated near the equator. As it goes towards the pole, it becomes very thin. And troposphere is called as the weather making layer because all the weather phenomenon occurs in the troposphere. The next layer is stratosphere. It lies above the troposphere and extends up to a height of 50 kilometers above the earth's surface. Here only the ozone layer is concentrated. So it is otherwise called as ozonosphere. And it plays a very important role since it prevents the UV radiation from entering the earth. Stratosphere lies above the troposphere. It extends to a height of about 50 kilometers above the earth's surface. The temperature decreases with increasing in height. Most of the meteors that comes from the space nearing the earth get burnt up in the mesosphere. So it prevents the meteors affecting the earth. The next layer is thermosphere. It extends up to 600 kilometers. The composition of the gases is more or less uniform. So that part is called as homosphere. The upper portion of the thermosphere, the composition is uneven, so it is called as heterosphere. And in the thermosphere, there is a layer called as ionosphere, full of iron molecules. So it is otherwise called as ionosphere. It has free ions and electrons. All the radio waves that are transmitted from the earth are reflected back to the earth from this layer only. The last layer is, or the uppermost layer of the atmosphere is called as exosphere. This layer is extremely rarefied with gases and gradually merges with the outer space. This zone is characterized by aurora australis and aurora borealis. The next topic we are going to focus is weather and climate. Most of us get confused by weather and climate. What is weather? Weather of a place. For example, the weather of a place denotes the day-to-day condition of the atmospheric conditions of a particular place. What is climate? and it is only for a short period of time. Say for example, I can tell today the weather is rainy. In the morning it may be rainy and in the afternoon it may be sunny. So it is, weather is the day-to-day condition of the atmospheric condition. It may be pressure, humidity or anything. What is climate? Climate is the weather conditions of a place for a longer period of time. It may be 1 month, 2 months or 30 years or so. So you should understand the difference between weather and climate. Weather is the day-to-day condition of the atmospheric conditions of a place for a short period of time, whereas climate is the weather conditions of a place for a longer period of time. For better understanding, I will give you some examples. The weather changes very often. It may be 1 hour it may be sunny, the other hour it may be rainy, afterwards it may be cloudy. A place can experience different types of weather conditions in a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. Weather data is collected every day in the observatories, and the study of weather is called as meteorology. Climate is more or less permanent and it remains the same always. For example, we can tell the climate of India is hot because always we experience hot climate throughout the year. We can tell monsoon tropical, otherwise hot climate. Climate is the average of the weather data. The weather of a place, the average conditions is taken and the climate is of a place is determined. The study of climate is called as climatology. Next we are going to focus on the topic, the different factors that influence weather and climate. So we have distance from the equator, altitude, nearness to the sea, nature of the prevailing winds, mountain barrier, cloud cover, ocean currents and natural vegetation. So these are the factors that influence weather and climate. So we'll start from the first point, distance from the equator. So the sun's rays falls vertically on the equator. You can just imagine the earth, the equator and the sun. So the sun's rays fall vertically on the equator. So places near the equator experience hot climate. Places away from the equator, as they go towards the poles, they experience cold climate. The vertical rays heat up the earth's surface more than the inclined rays. Here only the vertical rays of the sun fall, whereas at the poles the inclined rays of the sun fall. That is why places near the equator are very hot, places near the poles are very cold. The next one is altitude. Altitude here refers to the height above the mean sea level. As we travel higher up in the mountains, we experience chillness. How does it happen? That is because as we go up higher and higher in the mountains, for every 1 kilometer there is a decrease in the temperature, that is 6.5 degrees. There is a decrease in the temperature as we travel. That is why as we travel in the mountains, as we go higher and higher up in the mountains, we feel a very chill and the temperature starts decreasing. This is called as normal lapse rate. So for every 1 kilometer, there is a decrease in the temperature, 6.5 degrees Celsius. This is called as normal lapse rate. That is why the mountains are cooler. Climate of a place varies according to the nearness to the sea. For example, Chennai experiences a very hot climate during the daytime and cold during the night time. Why is it so? Because it is close to the sea. So it experiences equable climate, both hot and cold. So we can tell Chennai experiences equable climate because of the influence of the winds from the sea. Places that are located inland, for example Salem, we are in the inland, we don't experience equable climate. We feel very hot. So places near the sea experience equable climate. Places in inland do not experience equable climate. We have a moderate influence of the winds from the sea. Nature of the prevailing winds. The winds change the climate based on the direction which they blow. So when the winds blow from a warm region, the place will experience warm climate. When it blows from a cold region, it experiences colder climate. Mountain variance. Location of a mountain plays a very important role in the weather and climate of a place. The mountain chains, they act as a natural barrier for the wind and they block the winds that blows inside or outside, both the sides. For example, Mount Himalayas that is located in the northernmost part of India blocks the cold polar winds from Central Asia. Suppose if Himalayas were not there, present there in North India, India would have experienced a very cold and dry climate. So, mountains play a very important role. They are a barrier, and in India, the Himalayas block the cold polar winds from entering India, and the same way they prevent the monsoon winds from going away from India or to the other places in the north, that is Central Asia. Cloud cover plays a very important role in determining the weather and climate. These clouds reflect a lot of radiation from the sun. So it prevents entry of the rays from the sun to the earth. So when you observe a cloudless sky, if there are no clouds, the climate will be very hot. For example, in a desert, there is no clouds at all, so it experiences very hot climate. Whereas, if there are a lot of clouds present in the sky, we will experience a temperate climate only. Ocean currents play a very important role. Near the sea, we have the ocean currents. Because of these ocean currents, there is a rise in the temperature. So coastal areas, we have the warm and the cold currents based on the location of the places, whether it is near the equator or in the polar regions. So the cold current lowers the temperature. In the ocean currents, we have both hot and cold. So the cold currents lowers the temperature of a place. The next most important factor is natural vegetation. Trees play a very important role. They release water vapor in the air and make the air cool. So areas which have lot of forest cover have low range of temperature, whereas places which don't have forests, for example no trees and plants, they experience very hot climate. So trees play a very important role. It is natural vegetation. play a very important role in determining the weather and climate. So, we have seen about the different factors influencing weather and climate. The next topic we are going to focus is winds. The next topic we are going to focus is winds. What are winds? The horizontal movement of air at the surface of the earth is called as winds, whereas the vertical movement of the air is called as air current. The horizontal movement of the air at the surface of the earth is called as winds, whereas the vertical movement of the air is called as air current. And always the winds blow from a high pressure area towards a low pressure area. And always the winds are named after the direction from which it blows. For example, the winds blowing from the east direction are called as easterlies. Winds blowing from the west direction are called as westerlies. Anemometer is a device to measure the speed of the wind, and wind vane is a device to measure or calculate the direction of the wind. The unit of wind is denoted by kilometer per hour or by knots. And there are different types of winds on the earth. So, we have 4 major types: planetary, periodic, variable and local winds. Now, what are these planetary winds? Planetary winds, they blow throughout the year in the same direction. So, for example, trade winds and planetary winds are also called as permanent winds because they blow in the same direction throughout the year. So, for example, we have trade winds, westerlies and polar easterly. Now, what are these trade winds? Where are they found? They are found in the subtropical polar belts. And always it is blowing from a high pressure to a low pressure area. These winds are very helpful for the traders traveling by sea. That is why it is called as trade winds. Westerlies, once again, they are also the permanent winds. They blow from a tropical high pressure area to a subpolar low pressure area. And in the northern hemisphere, they blow from southwest to northeast, and in the southern hemisphere, they blow from northwest to southeast. The examples of westerlies are roaring 40s. Because of the noise they make when they blow, they are given the names. The next one is the polar easterlies. They are cold and dry polar winds. So, from the name itself we come to know they are found in the extreme cold regions. So, they are from the polar high pressure to the subpolar low pressure belt. These are weak winds and they do not exert that much pressure. Next we have the permanent winds, the periodic winds. They are the seasonal winds and they change their direction periodically. This is because of the differentiation of land and ocean. So, these winds reverse their direction according to the change of seasons and they are called as monsoon winds. And in India, we experience monsoon winds. So, Indian subcontinent is the best example for periodic winds, otherwise monsoon winds. In the variable winds, we have cyclones. The term cyclone is derived from the Greek word meaning coil of a snake. cyclones always move in a clockwise direction. Cyclones are centers of low pressure where the surrounding areas are high pressure, so they converge towards the center in a spiral form. In a clockwise direction. Due to the rotation of the earth, the cyclonic winds in the northern hemisphere, they move in the anti-clockwise direction, whereas they move in the clockwise direction in the southern hemisphere. Cyclones can be classified into tropical, temperate and extratropical. Now, what are these tropical cyclones? These tropical cyclones mainly occur in the Indian Ocean. In the tropical areas. So, in India it is named as cyclones, typhoons in the western Pacific Ocean, hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean, Willy Willy in Australia, Taifu in Japan. Different names are given to the tropical cyclones in different places. Tropical cyclones are very destructive because they cause destruction on the coast and they destroy all that comes on its way. So, both the human beings and the surroundings are affected by the cyclone. So, heavy loss of life and property occurs during the cyclones. Once these cyclones reach the landmass, they become very weak. Temperate cyclones, they are formed along the front where the hot and the cold air masses meet in the mid latitude. These occur mostly in North Atlantic Ocean. North Atlantic Ocean, Northwest Europe and the Mediterranean basin. In India, it is called as western disturbances. Extratropical cyclones occur in the latitudes between 30 to 60 degrees. In both north and the southern hemispheres. These are also called mid-latitude cyclones. They collect energy from the different temperatures, maybe in higher altitudes, and they produce gales, mild showers, blizzards and tornadoes. Next we are going to see about anticyclone. What are anticyclones? Anticyclones are the opposite of the cyclones. So, area of high pressure region is found in the center. In the center, high pressure, and the surrounding will be of low pressure. Just the opposite of cyclone. So, the wind from the high pressure region move outwards towards the low pressure region in a spiral form, and usually anticyclones are accompanied by cold and heat waves. The next is the local winds. Local winds blow only in a particular locality for a short period of time. So, they affect the places which are located in and around that particular area. For example, sea breeze, valley breeze are the most local winds example. For example, Lu winds in India, Chinook in America. The next topic we are going to focus is clouds. Now, according to the heights, the clouds are classified into high clouds, middle clouds and low clouds. High clouds from 6.2 kilometer above the earth's surface, middle clouds 2.5 to 6 kilometer, and the low clouds from the ground surface till 25 kilometers. Now these high clouds are in the form of white, delicate, fluffy ones, often that we see on the sky. Sometimes they have ice crystals, but they do not give rainfall. Then we have the cirrocumulus and cirrostratus in the high clouds. In the middle clouds, the example are altostratus, altocumulus and nimbostratus. All these clouds, they are in uniform shape. Sometimes they freeze and they have the condensed water droplets, and most of the time they are associated with rain, snow and sleet. The low clouds contain the stratocumulus, stratus, cumulus and cumulonimbus. The stratocumulus, it is a grey or whitish layer of low clouds associated with fair and clear weather. Stratus are dense fog-like clouds which are associated with rain. Cumulonimbus are responsible for all the snow and the hailstorms. The next topic we are going to focus is precipitation. What is precipitation? Falling down of condensed water vapor in different forms is called as precipitation. And when the dew point is reached in the cloud, all the water droplets become saturated and they start falling towards the earth because of the gravitational force. So hence they fall down on the earth as precipitation. Now what is precipitation? The falling down of condensed water vapor in different forms is called as precipitation. For example, when the dew point is reached in the cloud is not able to contain all the droplets, it becomes saturated and it starts falling down. Hence they fall down on the earth and that is called as precipitation. And the climatic conditions, factors influencing the forms of precipitation are mainly temperature, altitude, cloud type, etc. The main forms of precipitation are drizzle, rain, sleet, snow and hail. Now what is this drizzle? Falling of numerous uniform minute droplets of water is called as drizzle, that is from the low clouds. Sometimes drizzle combines with fog and they reduce visibility. Rain, you know, is a common phenomena. It is the most widespread and important form of precipitation. It occurs only when there is abundant moisture in the air and the diameter of a raindrop is more than 5 millimeter. Sleet refers to a precipitation in the form of pellets made up of transparent and translucent ice. It is a mixture of snow and rain. Yes, sleet is a mixture of rain and snow. Snow is formed when condensation occurs below the freezing point. It is the precipitation of opaque and semi-opaque ice crystals. When these ice crystals collide and stick together, it becomes snowflakes. Now, what are hails? Hails are huge chunks of ice greater than 2 centimeter in diameter falling from the sky during a rainstorm or thunderstorm. These hailstones are form of solid precipitation where small pieces of ice fall downwards. These are very destructive forms because they destroy agricultural crops and human lives. We experience hails during summer when the climate is extremely hot. The next topic we are going to focus is rainfall. Now, rainfall is the most predominant type of precipitation. Now, during the daytime, the landmass gets heated and the air rises up to the sky in the atmosphere, and they form clouds and they are responsible for the rainfall. Based on the mechanism of the raising of the air, rainfall is classified into convectional rainfall, cyclonic rainfall and relief rainfall. This convectional rainfall is also called as 4 o'clock rainfall. Now, Earth's surface is intensely heated throughout solar radiation during the daytime. So, when the air near the Earth's surface is heated, it rises and expands. So, this heating results and it is responsible for the formation of convectional air currents. So, this convectional rainfall mostly occurs in the equatorial region during the evenings. That is why it is called as 4 o'clock rainfall. Mostly it occurs during the evenings. It occurs in the tropical, subtropical and temperate region in the summer months during the warmer days. The cyclonic rainfall, otherwise called as frontal rainfall, occurs when air masses are made to converge and move upward. So, cooling occurs, and this cyclonic rainfall occurs in the tropical as well as temperate regions. When warm and cold air mass converge, condensation and precipitation takes place on the boundary between the warm and cold air mass. This is called as frontal rainfall, otherwise cyclonic rainfall. Then we have the relief rainfall, otherwise called as the orographic rainfall. Orographic rainfall is caused when air is forced to rise against a high mountain. So, the mountain barriers lying across the direction of the airflow forces the moisture laden air to rise along the mountain slope. So, we have the mountain slope. This is called as the windward side of the mountain, and the other side is called as the leeward side of the mountain. So, the wind, the moisture laden winds blow towards the mountain. So, the mountain blocks, and this part of the mountain, that is the windward side, receives the rainfall, whereas the other side which does not receive the rainfall is called as a leeward side, and it becomes a rain shadow region also. It is otherwise called as rain shadow region. So, that is why it is called as orographic, otherwise relief rainfall. The next topic is humidity. Now, what is humidity? It is a very important aspect of the atmosphere. It is the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. The amount of water vapor may differ. In case it is large quantities of water vapor is present, the humidity of a place is very high. The amount of water vapor in the atmosphere is called as absolute humidity. And the humidity of the atmosphere is measured by the instrument called hygrometer. So, with that we come to the end of the lesson. Let us have a recap of the lesson. So, today we have focused on the topic atmosphere, the different layers of the atmosphere, the major gases, the 5 layers of the atmosphere, and the different process it undergoes. Then wind, the types of wind, air current, the different types of wind classified, permanent, periodical, local and variable winds, Then we learnt about the cyclones and anticyclones. Then the types of clouds based on the height. Then we learnt about precipitation, the different forms of precipitation, the rainfall, the different types of rainfall, convectional, cyclonic and relief. Then about humidity. So with that we come to the end of the lesson. Thank you.